Good day to everyone. I'm standing in the shade right now because it's boiling outside. The August is really unexpected since July, I think for most of the countries, was rather wet and cold. And August is breaking all the records. So we are having a heat wave right now, and outside in the sun, I think it's plus 33 or even more degrees Celsius. And as usual, I decided to show everything that is going on. I want to capture the results of a rather wet July and what we've got right now. And I'm going to start with a very unusual location because I'm going to the field of potatoes of our neighbors. They do not live here. They live somewhere in the main part of the village, but they have a patch of land where they plant potatoes. And what I'm going to show was happening from the end of July. And I think you may guess what it can be, because the field of potatoes is susceptible to such a disease as blight, and we started having early blight. But I wanted to show it because I have never seen anything like it before, and this year blight is really ruthless. So let's go. So it's approximately like a couple of steps from our patch of land. Okay, just look at that. That is the field of potatoes. So the green color is actually the grass, which is healthy, but this black stems, these are potatoes. And when I saw it a couple of days ago, I was shocked. And it's just abnormal. So I was hoping that my potatoes are going to have another month of August, but they are running out of time. I sprayed them with fungicide, but I think that the blight is such a ruthless thing that it doesn't care about anything. And I have to say that before I was spraying it a lot with fungicide multiple times. I know that the neighbors and my uncle, they do not do anything like it. And I hope that these measures are going to be fruitful, but unfortunately not. Comparing to the field of the potatoes of our neighbors, our field and our patches of land are obviously better, but I'm going to show everything in a couple of seconds. The leaf is healthy, but you can see the first signs of the blight. So it starts turning black, and usually begins with the leaves and then it goes to the stems until nothing is left. So I sprayed it once again with the double dosage of fungicide, so hoping that it at least can, I don't know, maybe scare it away for a few more days. And that is the potato that we are hoping to get good harvest from. And it is in contact with my uncle's field, which is also infected right now. So that's why it has like more signs of blight on the leaves. So it looks like that. So the leaf gets, it was a perfectly healthy leaf, but right now it turns black and you can do nothing with it. So that is the midterm result of our 4 potato varieties. As you can see, the color palette is just incredible. So these 3 new varieties are the ones that I have bought recently, and that is the variety that we have been planting for more than 10 years. See, I dug up 1 bush of potatoes, but the difference is going to be that 3 bushes, like our variety, the pinkish variety and the white variety, had 8-9 stems, but only this bush had 2 stems, which is, I think, a very striking difference. And as well as the sizes, but you have to bear in mind that it is a midterm result, so it means that they have 1 more month to grow. Me personally, I really loved these 2 varieties because, first of all, that is the result that we got from 1 bush, and as you can see, there are some smaller ones which were very closely attached to the stems, which means that they're still growing. And this one is obviously my favorite because only like 2 stems, and it gave an incredible result. So almost all of them are identical, only a couple of them smaller ones, but I still need them for seeds so that to plant next year. And this variety, actually, I've been expecting a lot more from it because I told you about the variety of Sarvari, and I think it didn't like the soil because we planted it in closer to the apple tree, which gives the shade for almost the half of the day. So I think the results are incredible. And our variety, the only difference about our variety is that it is of late crop. So these 3 varieties are very early varieties, so you can dig them out even in the first half of July. But this one is for September, so it still has a lot to grow. And usually what we didn't like about this variety is that sometimes, not sometimes, but almost all the time, it is damaged by early blight, and it doesn't show the results or the full potential. But this year is incredible so far. We have actually finished our work in our front yard, and as you can see, we finished this patch of land, and obviously we're going to plant all of the flowers here. But look at the rose. Right now it's grown really well, and it's just marvelous. It doesn't give any flowers yet, but it's just adorable. And I finally decided to remove all of the fig trees, but this one has such a decorative value, so I left it. But yeah, I think that's going to be the only fig tree that I'm going to live in my garden. Also, the hydrangea, look at it. I mean, like, it has such big flower spikes. They are huge, even though it's like only the second year or the third, I don't remember correctly, and it started giving a bit of pinkish, but I think it may be connected with the acidity of the soil. I didn't even want to get into the polytunnel because it's going to be almost like approximately 40 degrees in here. But as you can see, we started having the first harvest of our tomatoes, and for the present period, we have gathered around 70 kilos of tomatoes. And we have one cucumber growing there, as you can see, and just have a look. It's only one cucumber, but it's enormous. So they say that you can plant only one cucumber and get loads of cucumbers from it. The Chinese cabbage is adorable. This year we planted it earlier so that to get really good heads, cabbage heads. And we have already prepared one box of kimchi from only, I think, 3 cabbage heads. So I'm going to show everything that I was filming before as well. My beloved patch of watermelons. I have so many things to share about them, but the first thing that we have still some of them growing, and they are growing really well. So we have 4 of them, and the yellow one. We had 2 yellow watermelons, but I couldn't wait any longer, and I decided to look at the first one that appeared, and unfortunately it wasn't red. I underestimated the watermelon, so it weighs 3 kg, and I didn't expect that. So that is the experimental patch because I planted it on the compost pile, but we've got only 2 watermelons, and one of them I think is going to be almost close to 15 kilograms, so that is enormous. And I think it still keeps growing, but it's really hard to lift it. But what I realized is that I had to do hand pollinating because unfortunately we didn't have any other watermelons in there, and when I started hand pollinating them, we started having some watermelons. So I'm going to share more in details about hand pollination and just about watermelons, because the grafting works perfectly well. But also you have to bear in mind that that is the result of a wet July. Like the watermelon grew not because it was hot, but because it was wet. The pear is adorable and lovely, so closer to the end of August we're going to get some fruits. Unfortunately they're not in plenty, but I wasn't expecting anything because I have already mentioned multiple times that we had late frost when it was blooming. Also, we dug out the garlic, and I have already prepared the patch for the next year. So what I'm doing is I'm covering it with the grass so that it could get rotten and put all of the ingredients back in the soil. And that was the patch with onion that we removed, so I'm going also to include all of those videos. The onion that we were planting from seeds is in here, and I think that will be the record breaker for us because it has huge bulbs, and I'm planning on planting more onion from seeds because it shows really good results. Since I bought a grass mower, we have an ideal field right now. Since many of you are interested in the grafts, I'm going to show what is going on to one of the most experimented trees, and it is at the back of our yard. So that's how it looks like. And these are the grafts. That is of the last year, and it still continues growing. It's gigantic. And I have already removed some of the twigs in here so that to let the sun, and that is the graft of this year. That's really big, and it's really healthy. Another one, the pear, which is not willing to grow, but obviously I'm not going to leave it this way, but this pear is a very good variety that I would like to have in my garden, so I'm going to remove it, taking this twig for grafting next year for my pear that I showed earlier in this video. I just love coming to this apple tree every now and then and checking on the grafts, which I think are a miracle. When it started pouring down with rain in July, I wasn't hoping that we were going to get really good harvest, but right now I'm pretty much sure that this year is outstanding, and I'm particularly interested in the weight of the watermelon because I am a huge fan of watermelons, and I stopped buying them 3 years ago when I started grafting my watermelons, and right now I'm learning more and more about watermelons every single year, and I got particularly excited about hand pollinating, and I'm doing it regularly on a regular basis right now. But it is so bad that I started doing it so late, because August is not the perfect month for starting to hand pollinate, and some of the watermelons may not get red. But who knows, August is going to be really hot, and maybe we're going to get a very good result, so stay tuned. And it wasn't like a garden tour, of course. I decided to show the harvest, the first crop that we have got from July, since it was a very unusual and unexpected month in terms of weather. So take care, guys. See you next time. Bye bye.